If I were to ask you, what is the best selling fighting game of all time? There are perhaps many different series that come to mind. If you grew up in arcades, you may think about classic series such as Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. Younger gamers may have had their introduction through series such as Soul Calibur or Tekken. But if you were a Nintendo fan, you would immediately think of the Super Smash Bros. Series, which would absolutely be the correct answer. The latest game in the series, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, currently sits on top of the list, having sold over 22 million copies by December of last year. The first game in the series, though, Super Smash Bros., released on April 26, 1999 in North America, and it was a commercial success with only around 5 million copies sold. I doubt then that anyone could have imagined the absolute worldwide phenomenon that this series has become. Today we're going to be looking back at the very beginning, Super Smash Bros., talking about how it came to be and discussing its developer, HAL Laboratories, who has been crucial to Nintendo's success over the years. We're going to be discussing our own experience with various games in the series, taking a little quiz on Smash Bros. Characters, and laughing at a few of your own reviews on the game. So sit back and relax and join us for our own little crossover as we take today's trip down memory card lane. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I hope these words find you well. I want to welcome you to the 35th episode of our video game nostalgia podcast, A Trip Down Memory Card Lane. Each week, we take a look back at one game released during the current week in gaming history, and well, we talk about it. It's a podcast after all. I really don't think our ability to perform interpretive dance would land really well through your speakers. I don't think Rob interpretive dances, though. Rob, you interpretive dance?
Not interpretive, although I do swing dance.
All right, well, I'm David Casson, and that voice is my co-host, who always considers himself a smashed brother, but not always for the same reason. My brother, Rob Casson. Rob, what kind of smashed are you today?
Pickle.
A smash.
Introduce yourselves.
Yes. All right, we're curious. LyonLyre, recently LyonLyre. I have been friends with Rob for I don't know how long now. 8 years? Sounds about right.
Jesus, has it really been that long? Wow.
I think
it only gets better, guys. It only gets better. Trust me.
You guys are at my wedding.
True. Very true.
It happens. All right, who's next?
Oh, so I am also one of Robert's friends. I am Karlo Delos Angeles, or rather, a lot of gamers know me as Pinoy Knight. I'm also the director of Esports at Albion College, and so I just literally my life revolves around finding people who can play video games better than me, which is like 99% of the people in the world. So there's that. And yeah, no, I've known Rob for like, God dang, it's been forever. I've known him since like 2012. So I guess it's like
13.
No, yeah, 13.
I got oh my god, I got the years messed up. That's how old I am. Yeah. But yeah, 2013.
It only gets better, guys. I'm telling you, it only gets better.
Well, Karlo, if you want to feel a little better, at least know this. You're still younger than Dave, and you're still probably better at most video games than him.
True statement.
Oh,
True
what?
statement.
Oh, okay. I won't say anything then. I will be okay with that.
Very true statement. I play everything on story mode or easy mode or everything mode because I'm too old and don't have enough patience for this shit anymore. I'm going to be totally honest.
So. That is fair though. Like,
yeah, I understand that. I play most games on normal because I don't feel like the bullshit that comes along with developer modes.
Well, I'll start with normal because I really feel guilty sometimes going to easy, and then when I hit a wall, I'm like, you know what? I don't have time for this. Back to easy. Like I'm playing the God of War, the
okay,
the current one,
mm-hmm.
and I start on normal, I hit a wall about 10 hours in the game, and I was like, you know what? I'm here for the story, not to cry at night. So it it went
Not to
right to
cry.
no, not to cry. Honestly, my time is precious. I don't no, pass. So, but I gotta tell you, it's great that y'all know each other that long. You're right. I don't even want to think about it. All right, so I went away to college in 2002, which really is frightening because it means I'll have known most of my college friends for 20 years next
Oh
year.
no. Okay.
Wow.
No wonder.
Not awful, but it's great too because like they're my best friends in the whole wide world. So I mean, we're all going on 20 years. So
Huh.
that's great. Hold on to that. That's what I'm saying, guys. Hold on to that. So how is
Okay.
don't everyone chime in at once, but how's everyone doing today? Rob, we normally start with you. How are you doing?
You know, it was a long day, as I was telling Carlo before, because well, I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not gonna say that because I don't want to ever know where everyone lives. If you guys don't want to know, so that's fine. It
I
was a
literally
long
just said
day.
where I worked. Okay.
Oh yeah, you're right. Well, it was a long day for me. I traveled from the east side of Michigan over to Kalamazoo and back. So, you know, it's a
Awesome.
lot of driving, a lot of working, and I'm exhausted. But otherwise, I'm great. Glad to be here with some friends.
Have I ever told you what my absolute favorite Kalamazoo as a name is great? Ever told you how I encountered it in a college textbook once?
Oh, do tell.
Okay, so I was taking I'm an English major and I was
Oh
taking
man, same here.
yeah,
I forgot
yeah.
to say that.
Yeah. I was taking God, I think it was a linguistics class to be honest with you, and we were learning about and suffixes, but there's the one that people don't talk about called an infix, which is when
Mm-hmm.
you put a word in the middle, and it was literally introduced in my textbook as an example of an infix is
Oh god.
Kalama fucking Zoo, a
Oh my
city in
god,
Middle
yes.
Michigan. I was
I've
like,
heard that too.
score! And now
I heard that too in my classes, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm gonna think about this forever now that I live in this goddamn city.
it was literally in
Hey,
a college textbook.
love it.
Fucking lootly, you will.
Also, Carlo is also an English major.
Yep.
Oh, brother.
So
And you
you
can see
two
how
are,
well that worked out.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Dave sells trailers. Well, nice built manufactured homes, I should say.
Thank you. Manufactured homes. I sell modulars too. Okay.
Oh, I forgot about the modulars. But hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You guys
No, it,
still
no, it. They're
use it.
not the same trailers that we were used to when we were kids. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Some of them are nicer than my house. So it's crazy
Ooh.
what they do with manufactured housing nowadays. It's great.
Ugh. Well, anyway, Carlo, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Just, the pandemic's been keeping me at home, but then I've been on this nice groove at working at home anyway. So I haven't had the need to go to my office, but it's nice every now and then to have an office. I don't know why, but it is. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's like before I got my job, right? I was at Davenport University doing kind of the exact same thing, and a lot of it just it was just the first half of my job, my first year was like Overwatch and Smash, and then the second semester I just focused straight up on Smash, and then going to the second year, I was like, hey, there's this job position I should probably like apply for, and I did, and I didn't even think I was going to get it, and then I did. So that's where we are now. I had no idea I'd get this far. Um, but it's been and it's been a good experience. It's nice to actually have people to work with, and just doing something I didn't even think was going to be a thing, like not even like years, like 4 years ago.
Yeah, I it well, we talk about this a lot on this podcast. I know y'all are new to it, but I'm really amazed by how far the industry in whole has come. And
Hmm.
esports, who would have ever guessed? Who would have ever guessed that we would be where we are? What I just can't. I can't even. I can't wrap my head around it sometimes. The crowds, the purses, the personalities. It's just awesome. It really
Hmm.
is. It's
Mhm.
beautiful.
It's
Beautiful.
definitely something like it's so weird to tell like parents nowadays when talking to them and their kid. And like, yeah, I can
Yeah, I
actually
bet.
give your kid a scholarship to play games. And like, I've actually seen, and I'm not even kidding, when I was at Davenport, I literally saw a mom cry because she's like, I was just so worried because like my kid just like plays like forever. And I was like, well, we'll teach him how to balance it, but He's good. We'll take care of him, and it's just so nice to just see parents like light up because like it's just trying to take away the that whole negative stigma of gaming. And in fact, it's been gone for like a while now. As there's just bits and pieces to stomp out, but
Yep,
it's so nice.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Well, how about you, Straggler? How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. It's one of those days where it's like I feel a little bit slow after work, but I'm feeling pretty good at this point after getting some food in me. Um, yeah, not really much to say regarding the day specifically, but I'm just feeling all right, you know.
I'm really glad to hear that. I'm really glad to hear that. Well, I'm going to give you the chance to chime in first. What are you playing these days? What's your thing right now?
Uh, so the past couple months, I've mainly been playing a lot of Apex with friends. I'm
Oh,
not really one for shooters usually, so it's kind of weird that I'm gotten so much into this game. But I've put almost 200 hours in the past 2 months. So
that sounds
Wow.
like my Rocket League addiction.
It's on par with that,
I
yes.
bet it is. It sounds like it.
I
Oh
Yeah,
can
man.
confirm knowing both of those. They are definitely very equal.
I've got another close friend who's been playing since day one of the game, and in the past 2 months, I've put in about half the amount of time that he has in 2.5 years.
Oh man. All right, Carlo, what are you playing these days?
Well, I've been playing Overwatch again, which is nice. I used to actually hate the game because it's just a lot of drama. I don't have to get into, but it's been fun. And they released a new May skin, so I'm gonna have to
Ooh.
get on that because Lord have mercy, I
Oh
will
yeah, I
do
saw that
everything for
one. That
that.
one looks pretty good.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that hated it, and I'm just like, are you guys ill? Like May needs a skin, guys. Like, come on, like relax. And it's so nice to like, it's nice to see like more things happening with the game. I just wish the more things was Overwatch 2, but that's a personal opinion.
Yeah,
And
I actually agree with that one. So
thank you. I
yeah,
agree.
I agree with that one. It's time to move on. Let's
Hmm.
let's let's reinvent. Never mind. All right, Rob, what are you playing? What are you playing?
Well, as always, RuneScape. But recently,
Dog
I
it.
have been dabbling in the Apex with Keefer. Actually, we a lot of my time has been spent playing the game with him, and then a little bit of Forza Horizon.
Hmm.
Getting a little racing in. Had pretty fun races with some friends last night, and thinking about getting into it again. But
You're trying to
also,
get that racing simulator up, basically.
oh
Well, let me
man,
see if I can make an esports team for that.
much sooner I'm gonna have a farming sim simulator because 22 is coming out, and let me just say, when I get my second joystick, I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna be ready for some farming sim.
So did you know
Yeah,
Pokemon Snap is coming out
It
like
came out, I thought.
in 2 days?
Gotcha.
I honestly completed it. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
I
lie.
did too. I need to go to GameStop tomorrow. I legitimately forgotten like so yeah, I'm dumb, but we all knew that.
Hey, you said it, not us.
Hey,
We're
right?
all a little dumb.
Yeah.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Well, Dave, although you called Key for the Straggler, you haven't really answered either of the questions yet. So why don't you tell us, old Straggler?
I kind of did answer the question. I said I was playing God of War,
Yeah, but
which
no
is
one was
the
really listening then.
which was that's it. That's really all I've been playing. My day's been pretty busy. I don't normally work from the office on Wednesdays, but that doesn't stop customers from calling me. And in a week, the animal rescue organization I volunteer with is having a big fundraiser, and I'm usually the coordinator of that. So I've been busy with that. It's been a busy day, and now here we are. So yeah, lots of stuff
Here we
going on.
are.
Lots of stuff going on. So here we are talking about Super Smash Brothers. It's a retro game podcast, so we're going to talk about the first one from 1999. But let's be honest, it's really impossible not to talk about all the Smashes together. And so, I guess my first question for everyone, and Rob, we can start with you. Where did you start with the series?
I would have gotten started playing Super Smash Brothers Melee. From there, I did go back and play the original a few times when I was still young, and then obviously the progression through Brawl and then the new one. but or well, rather through 4 and then Ultimate. Although I did have in the most recent, I'd say no, actually at this point it's probably 4 years. Oh my god, time flies. I did have experience replaying the original with Karlo and Keefer actually. So we actually all got to play that together and hang out and experience the original Smash after playing so many Smash Ultimates on Thursday nights every week.
I'm so
Forever.
glad I brought my I had brought my N64 to college because that was a good time. I really was. I miss those
Oh.
days.
Samesies.
I'm gonna mix up the order. Keefer, what about you? Where'd you start with the series?
Smash Bros.
Right.
So the first time that I played it, I was 5 back when it first came out.
So I was
And
fine.
Solid.
my older brother's best friend had the game. My family never actually owned the game. We borrowed it from him for a couple weeks. And we never really got into the first one all that much. We unlocked all the characters and we played it a bit, but it wasn't really until Melee came out, because we got it with our GameCube on Christmas 2001, that we really got into the series. We played, my brothers and I played Melee all the time. All the time.
Mhm.
To the point that my middle brother and I started getting to the point where our oldest brother didn't want to play with us anymore, and there's now a small dent in the wall of my oldest brother's bedroom from him getting angry from playing with us and throwing
Is it like
the
legit still there?
Yep.
Oh god. Oh. Okay then.
That's awesome. Karlo, what about you, man?
So I played Smash like literally one of the first games I got with my N64 was Super Smash Bros. So I remember playing that so much that my sister did not want to play that with me. One of the characters I started off with was actually Samus, and then I think because of my cousin, I started playing as Link. So I played as both of them, and I was like, all right, this is fun. And then I went on to Melee, and then at school, I never actually owned Melee. I'd always come over to my friends and just play, and then he would just hate the fact that I'd never owned the game, but I'd still beat him for some reason. And I don't understand how that worked. But then Brawl, I had a Brawl, but I just yeah.
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 Like I think so the dorms at campus back when we were at CMU, when I was a freshman, Brawl was like kind of like prevalent because it came out in, what, 2009? And so they had
I
copies of
think it
it.
was 2006,
I thought oh, okay, whatever. They
because
It
still
it
would
had
have
a
came out
copy of
before
it.
my brother
it,
graduated from high.
it would have
Okay.
it would have been 2008. Just a
Was
side
it?
note.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
wrong.
yeah. Because we had they had the downstairs computer lab. They would have like things for people to rent out, and one of them was like a Wii. And so I'd just play Brawl there. And I remember actually having to deal with my friend who kept spamming Pit's bullshit. So yeah, so it was like okay, but I never actually enjoyed the game as much. And then Smash 4 came out, and these Keefer and Colby and Rob got me back into Smash stuff. And so I was playing as like I was trying to figure out a character, and I was like, oh, okay, Link wasn't really working well. Samus is meh. And I tried Lucina, and then Keefer was like, hey, you should try that one guy with the crotch.
Lucina sucks.
Yeah, he did say that. He stomped me on the ground and called me like bad names and then told me to play something else. And I was like, okay. And so I played Captain Falcon. And so
That
after
is
that, it's
exactly how it
been,
happened, by the way.
yeah,
100%
exactly.
accurate.
You're like, you threw me in the dumpster or something. I don't know. So I've been playing this character, and for some reason it just works. And so I've been playing with him a bit more. And then Ultimate came out. Awesome. I've been grinding a lot, and so before the pandemic, I was like one of West Michigan's best players. So yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, Smash has been honestly part of my life for a long time, and because of that, getting back into Smash 4, and then yeah, and then Ultimate coming out, like that's kind of partly why I got my job and the things I've been doing with commentary, and it's been so nice. Like I thinking about it now, I really would not trade this anything for the world.
So I'm not going to take it away from you in any way, shape, or form because I think every bit of what you're doing is an accomplishment. But something really tickles my funny bone about being West Michigan's best Smash player.
I said one of.
One,
Sorry.
I know. Well, I know. No,
Okay.
one of what? Right. Just
Oh,
West Michigan. West Michigan. I'm one of West Michigan's.
so there's a weird thing about that, and
West Michigan players don't like the East Michigans.
and vice
well,
versa,
I mean,
and it's really
well,
weird.
no, it's
Buck the Broncos.
Something like that, or
that,
yeah, maybe.
well, that's a Michigan thing in general. Western conservative Michigan and liberal Eastern Michigan. So
Actually,
yeah,
Kalamazoo is a little bit more on the liberal
it
side. Not
is.
to go into
No,
politics, I was like,
no,
wow.
no, no. It is. Keizu very much is. But I just remember that little conservative West Michigan. So
There's like two different there's two different what's it called, PRs for the state,
Power
and it's the
rankings for
west and
those
the
who
east
don't know
one.
what that means.
Yeah. Yeah, power rankings.
mhm.
Except like the east one actually encompasses the entire state. West Michigan for some reason just encompasses West Michigan. But yeah,
Yeah, like I said, during the
whatever.
Smash 4 days, the West Michigan players, a lot of them did not like the East players for some reason. I don't really know the whole
Yeah.
detail about it, but
It's it's definitely gotten a lot better though, and I'm honestly glad to be a part of that change because it's been yeah, I have yelled at many people and just
Nice.
like, hey, you should stop being an asshole, or like, hey, they are allowed to play the game. Like it's been tough, and a lot of the people who are like that have left, and it's like you kind of miss it, but at the same time, it's like, well, maybe it's a good thing they left in the first place. It's like just extra stuff.
Little rivalry between the halves of the states.
Oh God, yeah.
not really though. It was very one-sided. The East Michigan
Really?
players didn't dislike the West Michigan players. The West Michigan players just like barricaded themselves off and were like, "We're better than you guys. We're not going to associate with you."
Hmm.
Let's be honest. It's a Kalamazoo.
Oh man. Uh, well, I'm gonna be honest. I don't. I mean, and I'm not gonna say I've never played it, but I do not have a lot of experience with the original Super Smash Brothers. I did not have an N64 growing up. I was a hardcore PlayStation guy during that era. But by the
Okay.
time I went to college, we had GameCubes in every room, and Melee was everywhere. So I've played a ton of it since then. But uh, I can't say I've never played the original. I'm just not. It's just not something I have a lot of experience with, to be honest with you.
I mean, like nowadays, if you see someone like my little brother had seen my N64 and he asked me what it is, and I just cried because yeah, I hated that he asked me, but you got to remember that nobody's ever seen an N64 if they were
Yeah.
born like
Have you
past the
shown
year of
them a
2000.
VHS yet?
No, I
Yeah.
realize that. It's you okay, so look, I'm 11 years older than Rob. There's stuff that we talk about in that same vein.
Okay.
When I talk about video games of like I was born in the early 80s, but games of the 70s were very prominent then. So I remember the
Hmm.
arcade era and early 80s, and it's a black hole for y'all in a lot of ways, you know?
Mhm.
So
Unfortunately.
yeah. Oh man. All right. Well, each week I like to take a look back at where the game comes from, their development studio, and the people involved in it.
Hmm.
Um, what can any of you tell me about HAL Laboratories, the developer of the series? What do we know about it? What don't we know about it? What you got?
I know
Uh,
that HAL is like IBM, but moved one letter.
Hey, there you go.
I
That's
think
absolutely
Keefer,
right.
I think Keefer would know more for sure.
I honestly don't know a whole lot about HAL other than the fact that they developed the Kirby games,
Hmm.
Hmm.
and that's where Masahiro Sakurai, who created both series, Kirby and Smash Bros, worked in the first place.
That
It's
is
a second,
correct.
it's a second party studio, or was a second party studio of Nintendo. Um, I don't know when they were founded or like if they're even still really a thing, but
All right. Well, I can answer some of those questions for you. So you're right. HAL Laboratories is a second party Japanese video game developer that was founded 41 years ago in February of 1980. Rob, you were absolutely correct. Its name HAL was conceived because each letter put them one step ahead of IBM. So, kind of in the beginning, Halken, as they're commonly known, that's a derivative of their Japanese name. They made games for the MSX and the Commodore VIC-20,
Hmm.
one of the early PC games. Uh, there were some gems in there. One of the ones I really liked is called Eggerland Mystery. There's a reason for it. It was released for the MSX in 1985. It's basically a series of puzzle games that tell the story of King Egger, king of the evil empire, who captures the princess of Eggerland, Princess Lala, and her savior would be Lolo. who would basically rescue
What?
Lala, traveling
What?
through. Yes, that's exactly
What
where this is
Lala
going.
and Lolo characters in Kirby for a little remember?
Yep. Well,
Hmm.
the names would pop up, but where it's most notably known is the Eggerland Mystery Series would be released for the NES. Like they basically made 2 or 3 games in the series, and then they brought it to North America as The Adventures of Lolo for the Nintendo in the late 80s and early 90s, basically. So, but it cracks me up that there was the Eggerland. I don't know why, but King Egger, like they couldn't come up with anything better than King Egger of Eggerland. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but various HAL Laboratory employees would also work on various ports of arcade titles to these systems. They would port early games such as Omega Race, Wizards of War, and one really important one was Joust. Okay,
Ah, okay.
I think I've heard of Joust before.
I think we've. And the programmer that would port Joust over to the NES was none other than Satoru Iwata.
Oh, interesting.
Right. That's my favorite part of this. It's
Ooh.
HAL Laboratories' 5th employee, and at the time, he was their only programmer.
I did know
So,
that. I didn't know he programmed Joust or like ported it to the NES rather.
well, I'm going to be honest with you. So, the Joust port was his first commercially published game, and other games that he would work on soon would include Balloon Fight, NES Open Tournament Golf, Earthbound, and then of course the Kirby games. He was the programmer on the early Kirby games, you know.
Right.
And what I learned through this is that I never knew he was incredibly good at programming. Like he was prolific at programming.
Yes,
Um,
yes, it was.
Nintendo had originally contacted several other developers to produce Open Tournament Golf, but all of them said, it can't be done. There's just not enough space on an
Hmm.
NES cartridge to store 18 holes of golf. And Iwata basically said, yes, I can do it. And as it's quoted, he recklessly stepped up to develop the game. But in order to do so, he had to create his own data compression method in order to actually fit all 18 courses into the game. And what I also didn't know is that later on we would see his programming prowess in F1 Race for the NES, in which he programmed parallax scrolling into a game when the NES wasn't originally designed to support it, which is really fascinating to me.
Interesting.
Hmm.
And then later on, that same programming prowess would be found in the Pokemon Gold and Silver games because he created the compression tools that utilize the graphics in the games.
Yeah, I did know that one. The amount of space that he saved by doing that is actually what allowed them to program Kanto into the game in the.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's
That is
actually I did not know that. That's really cool.
that
I
is
thought they were
that.
like, oh, we could do this. And I mean, I guess it is now, but cool.
Wow.
So for those of you listening out there, there's a good chance that the name Satoru Iwata sounds very familiar, and it's not likely because of his programming skills. You see, in 1991, for various reasons, basically a game that didn't go as well as they had planned, HAL Laboratories was on the verge of bankruptcy. But because of the relationship between Nintendo and HAL, Nintendo themselves offered to step in and help, but it came with a catch. Nintendo's president at the time, Hiroshi Yamauchi, insisted that Iwata would be promoted to president of HAL if they bailed them out. And so, with Nintendo's assistance, Iwata would help turn HAL Laboratories around from a roughly $1.5 billion yen debt. I said dollar, and it's not dollar. Let's say billion yen debt to a stable financial gain within 6 years. And so after that turnaround in 2000, Iwata would join Nintendo as the head of its corporate planning division, while also taking a seat on its board of directors. And over his first 2 years as head of the corporate planning division, he sought to reduce the cost and length of game development while also preserving the quality of the games, which led to profit increases of 20 and 41% in his first 2 years. And so basically, when Yamauchi retired in 2002, Iwata succeeded him as Nintendo's 4th president. And therefore, he was the first Nintendo president unrelated to the Yamauchi family through blood or marriage since Nintendo's founding in 1889. And he would hold that position from 2000 until his death, which I believe was 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So,
But yeah,
Yep.
yes.
which
I'm
is
glad
very.
that you got the pronunciation correct.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely read it Yamauchi.
Yamauchi.
I'm sorry, boys. Yeah, you should be disappointed. I should know better because it's
Did we,
Japanese.
did
But
we not speak enough weeb around you?
No, apparently not. I think
I
3
just
of the 4 of us actually
Well,
took Japanese in
Yeah,
that room.
my German brain took over for a minute over my weeb brain. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
well,
I get
look, I notoriously butcher these names. I am not good at this whatsoever. So I'll whatever. It's okay. Whatever. But so one of the things that you already alluded to was that Kirby, right? Iwata was the one who programmed Kirby's Dream Land along with Sakurai. Isn't it Sakurai? Is that how you pronounce
Sakurai?
it? Sakurai. Thank you.
Soccer
Sakurai.
guy? I don't know.
Soccer guy. I like it.
Mashed potato samurai.
Mashed potato samurai. I like
Yeah.
it.
Oh my god.
I like mashed potato samurai. But Sakurai was also one of HAL Laboratories' early employees, and
Mhm.
he basically he got a start early on. He was only 19 when he created Kirby, and was therefore given a chance to direct his first title, which was Kirby's Dream Land in 1992. Can you imagine being 19 and I can't even wrap my head around it, being able to direct a title for Nintendo at 19. I didn't know what the
That's
hell.
crazy.
I couldn't even get
Yeah,
up out of bed
insane.
early at 19.
I still can't.
I still can't either.
I don't
So-
yeah, I'm gonna agree with those statements. But yeah.
Oh man. And so basically soccer guy, I like that much better. Sakurai would continue to work on the Kirby series until the late 90s. And somewhere in the late 90s, he would express interest in making a fighting game for 4 players. However, that's all he had. He had no original ideas. He made some really basic characters, which he would use to create a presentation of what was called at the time Dragon King the Fighting Game. And he would present this to Iwata, who agreed to help him work on this game moving forward. Okay. So Sakurai understood that fighting games did not sell well without an original design, but he didn't really know what to do. Well, brainstorming, he admits that his first idea, whether or not this is true or not, this is his claim nowadays. He says that his first idea was pretty much to include famous Nintendo characters and make them fight one another. But he knew that he wasn't going to get permission uh, from Nintendo, because we all know Nintendo is notorious for controlling their image, right?
From what I understand, most of that came from Miyamoto not wanting to like put the characters that he created into violent situations, like
Yep.
outside of like
All right.
I was like, well, okay. Yeah.
Right?
So basically, he knew he wasn't going to get permission, but he wanted to do it anyways. And so he and Iwata basically worked on a prototype of the game without sanction from Nintendo and just didn't bother to tell them until they had a game that was playable and well balanced. I mean, can you imagine working on a game that you don't even know is ever going to be? I mean, I guess people do that all the time, right? Work on games that aren't going to be a thing whatsoever, you know?
Mhm.
I mean,
But
to be fair, they did have a great game that while the images were of Nintendo characters, they could still take and put new characters into. Would it be as popular? Who knows? But they had the
well,
framework and just had to change the visuals.
I want you to hold on to that because we're going to talk about that later on. We're definitely going to talk about the characters later on. I think that's a fascinating argument. This initial prototype, though, it had Mario, Donkey Kong, Samus, and Fox as playable characters. And as luck would, I guess not luck would have it, because it's a phenomenal game. They presented the prototype to Nintendo, and Nintendo was on board, and so they were allowed to finish the game. Which brings us to 1999. On January 21st, the game would release in Japan, and here April 26th it would release stateside. So let's talk Smash Brothers, guys. Gameplay, right? This one is not like other fighting game series. At the time, we had Mortal Kombat, we had Street Fighter, we had the Tekkens of the world, and every other fighting game relies on complicated button combinations to do moves, but Smash Brothers doesn't, right?
Yeah, no, you just put an angle and a button and it does a thing. You don't have to do the same inputs 3, 4, 7 times.
Or no left, right, BA, up, down, hold left twice, and then hit start type deal. None of that.
no,
I-
not for the most
I
part.
personally can like say that
Mhm.
this is just coming from me. I think Tekken is probably one of the easier games for me to play. I don't know why. Probably because I've been playing that is this roughly the same time with Smash. But it's I don't know. I think it's fun, and I think it adds a little bit more like like if you were to compare that to Smash, for example, like I feel like with the amount of buttons, it kind of feels the same to me. I don't know why, but
I
that's
don't know.
just me.
I personally feel like a more apt comparison would be Dragon Ball Fighters, because you really don't need to know any complicated inputs to play that game in a level.
Oh,
You
I,
can
I
just
relate that to Marvel versus Capcom.
see the thing about fighters is you can get decent combos by just pressing the same button over and over.
Or playing as Yamcha.
Well, yeah,
Hmm.
that too.
Yamcha's the meme. He's basically like the gatekeeper for like the competitive standard. It's so funny. Uh,
I'm
Sorry.
actually no, I'm not going to disagree with you at all. I mean, like I said, I didn't really play a lot of this when it came out. When Smash Brothers was a thing, Tekken 3 was I mean, that was the one I was playing the hell out of at the time. So,
yes,
I'm
that was,
not
that was a good one.
yeah, I'm not going to disagree at all. That was my jam back then. So,
Do you remember Tekken Bowl?
I remember Tekken Ball.
Okay, good. That is like the best game ever. The best fighting
Oh,
bowling game ever.
it's Tekken Bowl is really, really weird. That was really late. That was 2010, 2011, somewhere in there.
I'm
Oh,
not sure. And it was
oh,
like early like 2010s, the very
it-
least.
that was really weird. All right, so the other thing Smash Brother has that was kind of unique was its weapons and power ups. They're really that wasn't really a staple of other fighting games at the time. I mean, if anyone else can think of one, I can't. What else? Even to this day, what else really uses weapons and powers up other than Smash clones?
Yeah,
Ooh,
it's pretty much
Soul
just Smash
Calibur.
clones.
Oh, Smoke Caliber had weapons. Yeah, we played.
Small
Was that
caliber.
Small Caliber.
Small.
Yes.
Tiny little soul caliber.
Hey, wasn't it 4? What at the time wasn't it 4 was on the GameCube for the Soul Calibur series
That
at the
was
time?
2.
Was that 2?
Yep.
Were we
With
way back then?
with Link as the guest, yes.
Although to be fair, we were talking weapons that you could pick up and drop, not character specific weapons. So that stipulation, there's actually, I'm pretty sure you have weapons like that in what's the one for Sony? PlayStation All Stars.
Oh God,
I think that does have weapons in it, but I could be mistaken.
I
It's been a
feel like
while
that
since I
counts
played
as
it.
a Smash clone.
Yeah, I do.
It is.
Well, I mean,
totally is.
okay. Yeah, you're right. Fair enough. So yeah, no,
Well,
I sure can't.
and then I think what perhaps is one of the most unique things about Smash is no life bar. I can't think of another fighting game prior to that that really didn't have a life bar. I honestly I think that's almost a defining characteristic of Smash clones. Uh, any other ones that don't have life bars that anyone can think of?
Rivals of Ether?
Can't think of it.
I have no idea what you just said.
That's also made to appeal to the Smash fan base, so at least a pseudo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Well, and with the no complicated button inputs and everything, Smash definitely has more of a focus on platforming and aerial skills than any other fighting games. Is
Mhm.
that a fair assessment?
I'd say so.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah,
Still,
That's
fucking
kind
aerial
of where
moves.
the
Fucking
the-
aerial moves. Fuck you and your bullshit, motherfucking keeping me off stage shit. You guys are assholes.
God, someone's like literally going through like nom flashbacks.
I know,
Like,
man.
jeez.
Bitter.
Yeah, I was just like, oh
bitter.
God. I do remember those times, but I'm sorry. Like, what else am I supposed to say?
That's the best, though. I mean, that's the absolute best. You know, just that last minute. Hey, you want to try to save yourself? Nope.
Yeah.
Just flick him right off the stage again.
Take you down with the Bowser sides.
Oh man.
All right. So I think it's fair to say, and one of the things I want to talk about that y'all are probably gonna be better than myself is all these things combined probably make Smash Brothers a more accessible fighting game than many of the others we were talking about. Right? We
Mhm.
good with that?
Yeah.
Do you think? I guess where I want to go from there is, do you think, because out of all the fighting games that have progressed to esports, I think that Smash. Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Smash have the biggest fight? Is Smash the only one that's competitive?
of
I mean,
fighting games?
It's the biggest by
Correct,
far.
fighting games.
Yeah, fighting games. Yeah.
Um,
I I'd have to believe
Carlo.
UFC.
Wait. So
Carlo, correct
what?
me if I'm wrong, but I believe this past the last Evo that was held, Street Fighter 5 had more ends than Smash Bros.
Yes. Yep, that is
Okay,
correct.
so it's changed a little bit. Okay. What was that? 19 was the last one?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be true. All right.
I do believe, however, that Smash Ultimate had the highest viewer count during the tournament.
What is it about? See, I think that it's this accessibility that makes Smash just that's made it what it is. It's got a huge fan base. It's I think it's competitive. It's competitive. What's the word I'm looking for? It fascinates me more than any others, to be honest with you. I think it has more personalities. I think it just I just think it's more accessible than all the others.
If
Really.
Smash is honestly by far the most accessible, because I think aside from DBFZ, the other fighting games generally for optimized play generally require just fights pads like sticks.
Hmm.
So you'll have like, and what's the easiest thing to get? A GameCube controller.
True.
What has more accessibility? A Nintendo Switch or a PS5?
Not
True.
only that, but in my opinion, when you watch a high level Smash game, you can see and understand what's happening a lot more
Mhm.
easily than you can in traditional fighting games because the general audience isn't going to necessarily understand how to input a combo in a traditional fighting game. But Smash's inputs are so simple that they can be like, oh, I know how to do that.
Mhm.
Maybe I could try doing that.
So let me
Very
ask you
true.
that I agree, but
Sorry, not to
that's okay.
interject. To
No.
in fairness though, as well, I've taken that exact same mentality to relearning some of my fighting games, and it's actually like I think Smash is a very good starting point as well for those who want to get deeper into other fighting games like Tekken, Street Fighter. Because I've actually tried that with a game called Grand Blue Fantasy, and
Okay.
just like
Yeah.
doing the emulation has just been so nice. Just being able to like, oh, I'll see this coming. Like it's timing, and when you focus on timing, like when you get in Smash, you apply those like ideas to the other fighting games, and they actually follow it up really well in getting to learn. So it's definitely
Well,
something that I've liked.
I'm really glad that you brought that up because that's honestly the direction I was going to take my next question for
Oh,
you.
perfect.
Um,
Woohoo.
so I think exactly what you just said in that how am I going to put this? I want to talk about the skill level for Smash, right? Because it doesn't rely on all these combos and the button combinations and everything. It more relies on timing and reflex and reaction and stuff along that line. Is that fair?
Yeah, I'd say it's
Yes.
fair.
Okay,
Yeah.
so uh, uh, skill level. How does that apply to skill level? Like for me, I think it's more pure to be honest with you because it's not a lot about memorization, it's not a lot about learning all the combinations. It's really just I think it's just pure. It's like watching an athlete who's just got pure athleticism. When you get rid of all the fancy stuff, it's just down to them. Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
No, I agree. I
No.
understand that for a fact.
Yeah.
You said no? Oh,
Yes, it
okay, no.
does. No, no, you
I was
said
like, "What?"
no, and then went, yes, I agree. It was just funny.
Sorry. I was like, "Yeah, no, I totally understand." Like, God, I'm like that, I'm sorry.
No,
It was just
no,
funny.
you're
I'm like,
okay.
"God dang
You're good.
it."
No, you're good, but I think that's I think that's part of the appeal, to be honest with you. You were just talking about it, how people can understand it and they can control, they can understand what's going on and follow it easier. I think that's more the appeal too, is that it just it's something people feel that they can do, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
Like I can hone my reflexes and compete, but not at the same time. I mean, those of us that watch it and know it's not that simple, but it also kind of is. I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. I mean, there is when you get to a certain point, some form of memorization that's going on there. Like you need to know how certain attacks can link into other ones at certain percentages. But at the same time, just playing how you feel is how you should be playing rather than
Mhm.
necessarily being like, okay, I need to get them to this point so that I can do this attack, which falls into this one. that type of just feel playing can take you pretty far, honestly, if
Yep.
you want to do like competitive gaming.
Yeah, from someone of the group here who is not the best of, I can agree because I've actually had some pretty good battles against both Keefer and Karlo, and they're much better than me, but I held my own quite a few times, and I have never taken the time to sit down and learn. I just kind of do what feels right.
Yeah.
But on
Don't
the
you?
other end of the spectrum, there,
Hmm.
even if you're not playing competitively and you're playing with people who like are on disparate skill levels, the fact that there are like weapons and items and power-ups that you can throw into the game, as well as just random stuff that can happen on the maps you choose to play in that way, can kind of level the playing field a bit, just because of the fact that it's like it's not always the better players going to win, because maybe the worst player, well, quote, worse player is going to get to that one item, like maybe the golden hammer, that'll just take out the other guy real quick, you know?
That's a
Well,
really fair point.
let me ask you this then. Along the same point, I I hadn't thought about that. You're absolutely correct. I think that the weapons and the power ups do throw some randomness into it that's really fascinating. But is there a point competitively where it really doesn't matter?
I mean, I'm not going to deny that, because there's definitely been plenty of casual matches that I've played in with people who are fairly unskilled with the game, and even with items on, it's kind of like they can't compete with me. But at the same time, it still makes it so that they're not just completely getting destroyed, so
Hmm.
they can still have fun with the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I I I guess I'm not as intimately familiar with the competitive scene of this. Is there a level? Is there is there a point where there's just a distinct like hard cliff between the casual and the competitive players? Like, is this a competitive scene where there is no in between? I guess is my question.
I
Uh,
mean, Carlo, yeah, you can go ahead.
it's I from what I've noticed, it's very much it's been shifting over to, especially on my end, it's been shifting over to like having a nice bridge between the casual and the competitive, because a lot of what, especially with the collegiate scene, there's always been that disparaging gap between the professional scene and just locals. So what's been really cool, and I've been working with people, I've been working with people who work with yeah, Mewtwo King and MK Leo, and they're setting up an area which allows students and anybody who's like more of a casual who's wanting to get into the professional scene, that bridge. And that's like, here's practices like if you want to be a collegiate player, or if you want to just like, learn from like professionals, like here's that bridging, we're going to be bridging that gap here, and actually allowing you to take an extra step towards, your what you want to do. And if that's professional smash, I mean, that's professional smash, professional streaming, whatever. And it's really cool because at one point you kind of wonder, like, if that didn't exist, think about how the NFL would be without the NCAA, without NCAA football. Like, you kind of wonder, like, how do high school players get into the the professional scene? This kind of just like brings in that nice. I think it just adds that level that's most definitely needed. And I think one of the another thing of note too is that because of that huge gap, because there was nothing there to actually bridge anything between the casual, well, quote unquote casual to the professional scene, it's really like anybody who was classified as not a professional, you're basically just a casual player, even though here I have like all these cool things, but you're still a casual because you're not up to the level of a professional. So that does kind of help, um, you know, put things into a perspective.
Hmm.
With that said, I think what you just talked about applies more to the ultimate scene rather
Hmm.
than, say, the melee scene, where there's a lot more technical ability in how the players approach the game. And I feel like when it comes to the melee scene, if you don't know how to do specific things, then you are just never going to be able to compete unless you specifically set out to practice those things. So a professional, well, not even just a professional, but a competitive Melee player is just on a completely different level than a casual Melee player in most cases.
Hmm.
But with Ultimate, because there's not necessarily, don't get me wrong, there is some, but there's not nearly as much of the technical ability involved with specific techniques that you apply in the middle of a match. It's more character specific stuff, Ultimate. Then it's much more accessible for a casual player to break into the competitive scene with Ultimate.
Hmm.
While we're on the topic of esports, I'm gonna keep asking the questions. This is really fascinating, but I want to make a point. Any of y'all ever looked up the competitive scene, Smash Brothers esports on like the Wikipedia listings about it? Ever had
Uh,
ever had an
not
opportunity to do that? Not recently.
not that I know of. I've never actually.
Are you referring to like looking
No,
at player profiles on the Smash Wiki?
no, not even on Smash Wiki. On generic Wikipedia, there's an article on Super Smash Brothers and esports, and it gives a history of competitive Melee and
Huh.
some other stuff. Okay, and
Okay.
so it's really fascinating to me that right now we're in what they call the Platinum or Five Gods era. Is that correct? Like, have you
The-
heard that before?
It's generally considered that the Five Gods era is done at this point.
Okay.
Um,
Uh,
the
and
Five
we
Gods era was, if I recall correctly, generally considered to have ended around like 2016, maybe slightly earlier. I don't recall exactly because I'm not part of the Melee scene, but I might be wrong on that too.
No,
Well,
that's what there is. That's why I'm asking, because it doesn't list anything after the Five Gods era, and then it talks about the Big Six, and then it
So-
talks
Bless you.
about like other games, and it brings up like, we were just talking about MK Leo, for instance, and it brings
Mhm.
him. It says, he's currently considered the best player in the Ultimate,
correct.
but it doesn't really say anything about a scene in its entirety after the Five Gods era, which is kind of weird to me. And also,
Right.
I feel it's kind of a slight to MK Leo. I wonder how he feels about that. He doesn't even get a listing, basically.
So
It's a
the
different
Five
era, though. I
Gods,
mean,
the
whatever.
Five Gods era applies to Melee only.
Hmm.
I
Um,
gotcha.
And the reason, from what I understand, that we're no longer in the Five Gods era is because half of the gods don't even compete anymore.
Hmm.
Mango, PPMD, and Armada are all retired. Mewtwo King and Hungrybox are the only two that actively compete.
Gotcha.
There's
Well,
also Leffen, who was the sixth player
Hmm.
that
He was more of the
joined.
God Slayer.
Yeah,
He
he wasn't
was,
one
yeah.
of the five gods, but he was one of the only players that actually he was the only player for quite a while that had defeated all of the five gods at one point, with the exception of PPMD because PPMD retired.
Hmm.
Fascinating.
As for MK Leo, he's the best player in Ultimate. He also competed in 4 and was very high up in the competitive scene at that point as well. But as far as I know, he didn't really have much of a presence when it came to Melee or Brawl.
So who are other than who else is in the scene right now? Like, who are the people in the scene other than what we've already talked about? Anyone else that's on the up and up at the moment?
So another really good Melee player would be Axe. He plays Pikachu.
Yep.
Um,
He still competes too.
yeah, it wasn't that long ago. It was like right before the pandemic hit that he won his first major tournament, one of the five gods in attendance. Um, just to clarify, the reason why they're considered the five gods, it was because when they were at a tournament, only people who won those tournaments were those people and Leffen.
Yeah, I can understand that. Oh man, that had to have been a frustrating era for, or not. I mean, either you're frustrated because you can't break in and you don't know how to get over that hump, or you're just in awe of the fact that you're in greatness all the time.
Well, it was also very interesting because it was hard to say that there was a definitive number one at that point because
Hmm.
they were always fighting each other for that number one slot, with maybe the exception of Mewtwo King, who is generally considered to be the most technical of the five gods, but was never like the best of the best.
Hmm. You know much about the what they call the Dark Age when they tried to do Brawl instead of Melee, pick up Brawl. Do you know much about that?
Not a lot, to be honest.
Yeah,
It's
neither
really
do I.
it's
I
really
know
fa-
that during that point is when some of the top Smash 4 and Ultimate players came to prominence, specifically uh, Nairo, uh, MKLeo, Zero, who is no longer part of the scene for
Thank God
probably
he
shouldn't
isn't.
get into.
Yeah,
Um,
basically good. But anyways,
Esam, and a couple others.
Well, it's really fascinating that Brawl like shut down it's almost like they call it the Dark Age because apparently, Melee was on a temporary decline, and then Brawl just shut it down because Nintendo basically prohibited the Major League Gaming from streaming Brawl matches.
Mhm.
And part of it was Sakurai's part of it was Sakurai. Sakurai thinks that what I read, is that he feels that the competitive the competitive scene for his games are not indicative of the original vision of the game. And I think it goes
Mhm.
back to what we were talking about accessibility. He wanted to make a fighting game that was simple, that was accessible to everyone. And when you start playing them competitively, with such precision and skill as we do in the competitive scene, it's not quite what he originally envisioned.
Correct. Yeah, that's my understanding as well. But at the same time, I feel like in recent years he's kind of backtracked on that opinion a bit.
Oh, I agree with that.
Specifically with Ultimate, he brought on a couple of the pro Japanese players to help balance the game.
Yeah.
So because of that, it's like clearly he's got the competitive scene in mind now, but that I don't think he did back then, because there's things that are in Brawl that just don't make any sense. Like, it's really slow to play, and there's tripping, which is random. Even when you have items off and you're not playing on the random element stages, you can still just lose because your character fell over.
That's weird.
Me though.
There's that.
Brawl.
That's
So
my
silly.
that's my place. I'm supposed to be the worst gamer in the bunch. Jeez Louise. Ugh, man. Well, so I'm gonna backtrack a little bit and go back to the original 12 characters because I have some questions about it, right? Mario, Luigi, Jigglypuff, Fox, Donkey Kong, Falcon, Kirby, Link, Ness, Pikachu, Samus, and Yoshi. In the current meta, whatever the hell you want to call it, who still rocks and who sucks? That's my
So,
question.
are you referring to the original game or now?
No, we can go to now. I want to know who's still relevant in the today's scene. I don't. You can take Ultimate, you can take Melee. Who's still relevant of those original 12, and who could we care less about, or at all? Maybe we care about all of them. I don't know.
So
I think
if
that
we're
in
talking if we're talking relevance to Nintendo,
I think to the game.
then
To the
I
game.
know, but I just want to get this out of the way real quick.
Oh,
If we're
okay.
talking relevance to Nintendo, then Fox, Falcon, and Ness would not be in the game.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That is so true. That was a damn good point. That is sad but true. My God.
That said, all three of them are very strong picks in Smash Ultimate.
Okay. All right. All right. Any one of them that we would nix out of the original 12 that have literally nobody picks nowadays?
Probably Jigglypuff would be the least played of characters from the original 12 in the current.
Hmm.
Either her or Donkey Kong.
Nobody
Maybe
likes
Kirby.
nobody likes my
I
boy
see Kirby.
DK. I like DK.
Hey, I love playing DK. Don't get me wrong, but he's not good.
Expand on.
I've been called Donkey Kong as a nickname my whole life, so I have to stick with the DK initials, man. I have to stay with the DK initials. So, all right. Well,
What
I have
are
another. Go ahead.
what are your opinions on it?
With the relevance.
Yeah.
So in terms of like competitive standards or just like fan favorites, I'd say the least one up there would be Samus, but like by a thin margin.
Really? You think Samus is the least relevant of the 12?
In for competitive standards, yeah.
Really?
Ah,
Yes, because
I
Luigi
I
is
honestly
literally
don't
like,
agree with that.
well, because I think about it in like who plays what in a lot.
Mhm.
DK is always like that weird fan go-to favorite that, like, you could still see, like, in brackets. You could still see Samus, but like there's not really any good players professionally that actually play Samus. There's one for Mario, there's one for Luigi, there's one for Yoshi in the state,
So
there's one
you're
for
saying
Fox.
you see Jigglypuff more often than Sam,
Yeah,
with the
H-Box.
exception of Hungry Box?
Yes, I see there's two in the state that actually do well.
Okay, that's
So
fair.
so Yoshi would be the next one only because I think people just hate Yoshi for some
Hmm.
forsaken reason. I don't know, probably because
I
he
feel
has.
like Yoshi's actually fairly well represented. He just doesn't have anyone that does super well outside of Sora.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's what I would go with, to be honest. Like, it's not like super confusing or anything, but I think in terms of Nintendo's relevance, I'd say Fox, Falcon, and definitely Ness have fallen off, and maybe Samus because Metroid still needs to be a
Well,
thing.
We
Metroid
need
had Samus Returns not that long ago. It was ago now.
Yeah, yeah, sure. We have a
sure.
pandemic.
I'm really surprised anyone still knows who Ness is, to be honest with
I
you.
barely know Ness because of Super Smash Bros. Then I had to like look. Oh, what was
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, I mean without Super Smash there would be no Ness, honestly. We haven't had a mother game in God knows how long, which is a shame.
Ah, yes.
I'm gonna be honest. I think that applies to the film series as well.
I agree. Well, I yeah, okay. Probably. I never got into Fire Emblem, but I have friends that are
Same.
weirdly addicted to it.
Except I kind of got
Oh,
into
I,
it late, but
I love Fire Emblem. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of
What
my favorite series.
but yeah, it's I'm gonna agree with that. And then Fox. God, did I love Star Fox. Man,
I
those were
missed Star Fox.
they
Yeah.
were the coolest games. They were the coolest games. Me and
Gotta
my
ask
little
what your opinion is on Zero if you ever.
mm, mm,
That's what I
nah,
thought.
yeah, nah, yeah, no. Um, yeah, man, that was that technology, that FX technology at the time was just mind-boggling as a kid. Oh, it was so cool. It was so cool. Speaking of other mind-boggling stuff, who here misses couch multiplayer? All
I do.
Oh my
pandemic
god, yeah.
aside, that's not a thing anymore, you know? Uh,
Yeah.
it's just not.
Nintendo's really the only company that does it at all, and even then, not that much anymore.
I, I yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't know. I man, I'm trying to think of the last time I like sat down and played I actually know the answer to that. Rob, the last time I sat down to play a multiplayer game with other people in the same residence was the last time I was in Michigan with you guys, which is what, 3 years, 4 years now?
Hmm.
Yikes. What we you don't remember what we played, do you?
Jack Party Box.
Yeah, we played Jackbox. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't remember that. It's
And
come on.
even then, Jackbox is like only pseudo couch gameplay
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you can just share your screen over the internet and just do it that way.
Yeah, well now. I mean, and they make it real easy with their
With like the
Jackboxes.
room codes, yeah.
Yeah, but early on, I mean, even though it was the same with the cell phone, like the phone and everything, it it wasn't as it wasn't as good. I'm saying that because I remember trying to make it work with a bunch of friends, like with like the first or the second Jackbox, and I mean, streaming wasn't as prominent, and so we didn't have all these tools. We didn't have the Zooms and the Teams and the Twitch of the world to make it happen. So I had to get like the what is it, the VO meter, the banana meter thing to like loop the audio back in, and it was a disaster. Just a side note. It was a disaster. What's that called? Did I get it right? The banana meter? Is that what it is? Y'all even know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea. I'm just like, what? I
It's
guess.
it's a program that loops audio back
Oh,
into
voice. Oh, voice.
yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. The voice loop meter. It had a specific name. I don't remember what it is. But yeah, so that was fun. That's a little anecdote.
Hmm.
All right. Well, and you guys definitely know your Smash stuff, so you're gonna knock this out of the park. I have a bunch of Smash characters, and I'm gonna name them off, and I want you to tell me which game was the first Smash game that this character was introduced in. You good
Okay.
for it?
Yeah.
Think you can hang? Rob, what about you? You good
Sure.
for it?
Probably not, but I can try.
I'm gonna start out really easy, Rob. I think you can get this one. Which was the first game Ness was in?
Ultimate. Shit. I'm gonna go with the original one, Dave.
All right. Everyone in agreement, the original?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. And we all can take a turn at it. The Piranha Plant. Which was the first game of the Piranha Plant?
Oh, that
fuck.
was Ultimate.
I think Ultimate.
Yeah,
Sure.
Ultimate.
All right. That's correct. Ultimate. Charizard. What was the first game that Charizard was in?
Brawl.
It's Brawl.
Hold on. Question.
Unless you're referring to Solo Charizard, which is Smash 4.
Oh, good lord.
Thank you, Keefer, because that was I wanted to answer the question, the stipulation, because that was technically a trick question. Boy.
I didn't even think about, honestly, I had it with the original. I didn't even think about Solo Charizard. I completely forgot that even existed, to be honest with you. So, all right, how about King DDD? DDD. That's what I can never get
That's
over.
definitely Smash
DDD.
4, I believe.
No, that's Brawl.
Oh, Brawl. Yeah, that's
I
new to me
think
then.
it's not Melee, it's Brawl.
It's Brawl. It's
Okay.
Brawl.
Yeah.
Game and Watch. Mr. Game and Watch.
That's got to be Melee.
Yeah? We all in agreement on Melee? Melee
Yeah,
it is.
I was thinking about it. Like, yeah.
All right, Mewtwo.
That's also Melee. However, he was planned for the original game.
He was indeed planned for the original game. Very
He was
good.
also planned for Brawl, but he got cut.
Also
Oof.
true. Also
Someone
true.
knows their history. It's like
I
you like that
know.
character or
It's
something.
great. It's great. Next one is Pac-Man. When was Pac-Man first introduced?
4.
Smash 4?
Correct.
Yep. Smash 4. Young Link.
Ooh,
That's Melee.
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 Okay. Isabel.
Smash 4.
Nope,
No,
that's
Ultimate.
Ultimate.
Ultimate. Yeah, I'm dumb. Yeah, there.
Yeah.
Yoo-hoo.
Yeah, it's Ultimate. I don't know why, but the fact that she's in this series makes me giggle. So
I mean, the
By that
Animal Crossing
sense.
characters are kind of silly.
yeah, yeah.
Have
There's
you
a
seen
lot.
Sephiroth?
Oh my
He's pretty
god.
silly.
All right, last one is Marth. Where'd Marth come in?
Wasn't he that one guy with a sword in Smash, the original Smash? Kidding, Melee.
Yeah, Melee.
Melee.
Milady. I mean Melee. Yeah, it was Melee. All right, well, you guys actually know your stuff. It's actually really cool. So
Fun fact, Marth was also planned for the original Smash.
I actually knew that one. It's kind of disappointing though. That would have been really cool if he was in the original Smash.
what were the blah, blah, what am I trying to say? The other ones that were planned and had to be cut.
I believe it was Bowser and DDD.
Edge.
Had it somewhere. I wrote it down and now I can't find it. I can't ask the question. Yeah, you're correct. Yep. Absolutely correct.
God damn.
It's awesome. That's awesome. All right, well, moving on from the quiz. This is about the time that I make Rob do some work every week.
Woohoo.
Every week we like to take a look back at critic and user reception, aka reviews to the game, and read them and discuss them. And Rob is the reader of all things reviews. So Rob, why don't you take it away?
Well, it's easy for a critic to be a critic reader.
Oh man.
So,
Stick to the
Game
reading.
Informer said that Nintendo started 1999 with a bang and snuck out Mario Party, a second-party venture that had good intentions but actually bored the heck out of us. Because of this, we almost shot this game before we played it. Mario Party scarred many of us for life and made us a little wary as to what Nintendo had planned for the remainder of the year. Thankfully, Nintendo entrusted this product with a dynamic developer. HAL has always been renowned for its inventive techniques, and it works some magic with this product as well. HAL extracted the best themes and characters in the Nintendo universe and mixed them all together to fill the belly of a superbly designed combat engine. The combat chemistry is where this title truly shines. A 4-player fighter has been attempted, but none have ever worked. Super Smash Bros. Does a fine job of proving that the more characters on screen, the better.
So that's my question, gentlemen. Is that the case? The more characters on screen, the better.
There's a limit.
Yeah.
Have you seen 8-player Smash and Smash 4? I may as well just play like Left 4 Dead 2 with all the Teletubbies as the mod zombies. It is just so crazy.
Yeah, when it comes to 8-player Smash, you just kind of press buttons and hope you don't die.
Maybe more isn't better.
That said, 4-player free-for-all is hectic enough without being like ridiculous, so that's pretty fun. I'll agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other 4-player fighter that has ever even come close to this?
Fighter?
Yeah.
I mean, excluding Smash clones, not that I can think of.
Are there even any Smash clones that do a good job, though? I mean, we all
Rival
Arguably
would be the best
PlayStation,
one.
All-Stars, but
Yeah, that too.
can't do.
I don't
know
personally really
why.
like PlayStation Battle Royale, but that's just
I
me.
don't. I don't either. I don't know why. I just can't.
I know people who like it. There's one individual in our lives, the three of
I
us.
know who you're
loves it.
talking about. Yes,
Exactly.
I don't know. I just couldn't. I personally, I haven't found one. I mean, it's not to say I've never tried. What's the more recent ones? Like Brawlhalla, is that one of the recent ones?
Yeah, I think I would say pretty recent. Yeah. Brawlhalla was, I think that came out like 2 years ago or something. If I remember.
Yep.
has it been 2 years already since that came out? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Because I remember somebody literally messaged me like a couple months ago and asked if there was going to be a Brawlhalla esports team, and boy, I wanted to say yes. I was like, I don't know the scene. I'm sorry, and I felt really bad. I was like, I don't have time.
Is there going to be? Oh, I'm not gonna lie. I think you just gave me a new pastime. I'm going to randomly email you the most ridiculous esport team ideas I can come up with.
Oh God! if you can beat Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, the esports team, let me know, and we'll talk.
Oh my god!
Is there
Okay, that was
gonna be
Colby.
Here's Wrecking Ball esports team?
Oh fucking Christ!
We're gonna draft up an actual makeup for like Barbie Horse Adventures esports team.
Oh
So
God!
It's just speedrun races.
Yeah. Wait. What? Oh my God!
Oh,
Wait, where's my F-Zero? Like, come on, man.
Dangerous Golf Esports.
Dangerous Golf Esports. Speaking of Dangerous Golf, I'm playing this mobile game on Apple Arcade right now called What the Golf, and it's essentially a golf game, but like they do weird things with it. Like in the first level, instead of hitting the ball when you swing for the ball, the player actually flies. And that's how every level is. Like it does something weird, like you're throwing couches at the hole, or you're throwing the club at the hole, or it's just a really goofy golf game that's kind of fun. So if you're out there, What the Golf on the Apple Arcade. So just a little thing that I play.
I don't have an Apple phone. But
Yeah, I don't either.
That does sound interesting though, because
it's goofy.
Yeah.
You should look it up. It's goofy as hell. It's just something like when I'm sitting at my desk and I have a moment to decompress, I'm like, okay, I'll play a little, because it's kind of a puzzle game too. There's like, I don't know, golf things in space. Like instead of it being like normally it's a top-down golf game, like, you know, like they are in some ones, but occasionally it goes to side-scrolling where like you're in space and you have to throw the golf ball and use the gravity of the planets to get it into the hole type deal, which is really kind of cool. Does all sorts of interesting stuff. So, all right, Rob.
Wow. Okay, that sounds like an acid trip, but okay.
Yeah. It's man.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who turned to drugs.
Well, you know, gotta get
Thought
them
about it.
somehow. All right, Rob.
Oh,
GameSpot. What does GameSpot have to say? Go ahead.
Real quick though, can I just say, It's I find it odd that Game Informer did not like Mario Party at all.
Actually, yeah,
absolutely,
that is
yeah,
really interesting.
yeah. I agree. We did Mario Party recently, didn't we, Rob?
Yes,
Yeah,
Dave, we did.
yeah, we did because I made the "I'm gonna party like it's 1999" joke on that one and every other 1999 game since. So,
Yeah, you have done that. We did that on February 11th.
how do you know the exact date? Are you staring at it?
Well, Dave, we'll get to that later on.
I'll tell you when you get older.
All right.
So anyway, GameSpot had to say that it's an idea so simple. It makes you wonder why it took so long to happen. Take all your top-notch characters and toss them all into one game.
All right, so let's talk about that because we just talked about, Battle Royale All-Stars. Does that actually work? Like, can any game series just take all their top-notch characters and toss them into one game and have a successful whatever?
I
Do we
don't think so. Because let's break down like why it didn't work out well. Like I think like we could all agree it's like, yeah, this is basically a Smash clone. Because I think that the differences were like you had to literally knock someone out by like using an ult on them, which is like a pretty interesting feature. But why did it not work out well? I don't know. That's what I'm curious about.
I mean, I feel like part of the issue with PlayStation All-Stars is if you don't know the controls of the game, you don't know how to do that ultimate to kill people.
Very
I-
true.
That's
I played
very
a couple
true.
sessions of that game without knowing the controls, and I was like, I don't understand
What
how
am I
to win
doing?
this.
Yeah.
And the guy that I was playing with wouldn't tell me how to do it.
Greg.
Was
Yes.
it Kirk? Oh god damn. Yeah, he does that a lot. Oh god dang. I was
I
trying not
love
to
that
say
we
names.
do it on any input. Just immediately, all you had to say was, "Yeah, I play with a guy who didn't tell me anything." That's fucking Greg. That was my roommate
Yep,
before
nailed
I
it.
lived with Keefer and Karlo.
Yep. This
Wherever you
was
are,
the
Greg,
thing.
I love you. But god damn it, were you a dick for that?
'Cause I'm so lucky I knew what I was doing, but goddamn, it was like every time I played that game, I was just like, it was so. I think the thing was, it was just wildly inconsistent.
At least you had roommates that were into gaming. I don't think you even would remember my first roommate, but he was not a gamer in any way, shape, or form. You know what he was into?
Hmm.
Was wrestling, and
Ooh.
I eventually body slammed him through the futon we had in our room. So
Nice.
Beautiful.
dad had to come up and pick plywood because it was metal framed like metal bars, and I slammed him through the bars. And Dad had to come up and re-put a sheet of plywood on the futon so we could use it after that.
That's awesome.
Oh my god, it's like it's like the movie Step
Yeah.
Brothers.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Oh man, I never was into wrestling, but I'd watch it with him because it was so damn amusing with him. So, all right, moving on. Top notch characters. Yeah, okay. GameSpot liked Super Smash Brothers. They found it was worth a purchase, but not worth the one-player game. Yada yada yada. Cool. All
Weird.
right, user reviews, Rob. User reviews. What do we got?
All right. So, user Haggled18 on Metacritic in 2011 says that this was a revolutionary game in its time. There had never been anything like it before, and there honestly isn't a single game out there today that compares to the series, despite several attempts to mimic it.
Well, I think we've already kind of hit that, right?
Oh, yeah.
There really isn't anything.
I mean, there's a couple decent clones, but that's all. They're decent and they're just trying to be the same thing. They don't really do anything unique. Or if
think-
they do, it's not necessarily designed well. With a couple exceptions.
I think Rivals of Ether is definitely one of that because
Yes.
like it still kind of does the exact same thing. They just literally made it like 2D instead of 3D.
Right.
I don't know, like, and I haven't spent time to play the game. Like I've played it like a couple like sessions, but nothing too much to be like, oh man, I'd play this game forever. So it's definitely something I would consider, to
So-
to look down and look at it and see if it's going to be if it's really like Smash or not.
But that goes to like, what would a game have to do to beat Smash? You know, like I just don't know. I don't know what else is out there. Like it has all the familiarity, all the familiarity of the characters, familiarity of the gameplay. If you start to take the characters away, you lose some. Like anytime you take one of those elements away, you don't get the same equation, I guess is my point. So what else is another game going to have to do to take it off its pedestal? I don't have the answer to that, frankly. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't
Well,
I don't know. Like, yeah.
I'm not a game designer, but generally the games that are considered to be really good are the ones that revolutionize their genre in some way.
Very
And
true.
it's really hard to say a game needs to do this to be able to be like put on the same pedestal that Smash is at. Because like I'm not the one who would be able to come up with a design for that, to be honest.
That's a damn good point, actually. I just don't know. I don't know. Like I try to think about where all the other games kind of fall short. I mean, you said you've got Rivals of Ether, which essentially plays like Smash, but it's still not as popular as Smash. And I would have to think that the familiarity is probably part of that. You know?
I mean, yes and no.
Okay.
I think the thing about Rivals of Ether is that it's very much geared towards the competitive scene. So even without the character familiarity,
Mhm.
Smash is just way easier to get into due to all the casual elements in it that we
And it
discussed
has
earlier.
its own dating sim.
Oh,
Excuse
It
me.
does. It's called Lovers of Ether.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What is Lovers of Ether?
It's basically a dating sim based on the game, but it's in a high school setting.
Uh,
what the fuck is this?
Is it is it a game? Is it
It's
a
a
game
game.
in? It's a game in the
It's free.
game.
It's a free game on Steam
Are we
by the
talking?
same person who created the game Rivals of Ether. And yes, it is basically a dating sim, which makes it better than Smash.
You
I
said high
hope you guys
school.
love to be furries.
You said high school, and my mind went to the Persona games, but then that was definitely an insult to the Persona games.
Oh
So,
god, of course it's an insult to the Persona games. But at least it's your furry dating sim of fun.
what the hell?
Yeah,
Who?
I'm not even
Who?
kidding. I found out
I
on April 1st, and I actually played it just because I was curious, and I actually recorded. And I'm like, why did I do this? This is hilarious. Oh
you just
god,
you
I'm a player in
played.
game.
Oh,
Yep,
I
good times.
okay. All right. I don't even. I have so many things that we don't have time for me to say on that realistically. So Rob, there's a dating sim. My God.
All right.
Ugh.
User Darkflame16 on Metacritic in 2012 says, "Boy, does this game bring back some good memories. It was one of my favorite N64 games to play. My only complaint about it is the fact that the single player mode is the same every time. That's pretty much it for me. Plus, Ness is better in this version than he is in Melee or Brawl."
Is that true? I don't know. I don't know the games well enough, but I wanted to know if that was true from the experts.
So he's pretty trash in Melee.
Yep.
Like he's considered bottom tier in that game. I think he's bottom 5 characters or so of the 26. In the original game, I think he's mid tier, if I recall correctly. The best characters in the original game are Pikachu, Kirby, Fox, and Captain Falcon. I think Ness is after them, but I'm not positive. I can't say for Brawl, to be honest.
And we're just gonna have to take Dark Flame 16's word for it, aren't we?
That we are.
All right,
Ooh.
Rob. Why don't you take Ash Ketchum on Metacritic? What did Ash Ketchum have to say?
Well, I don't know why he's playing Super Smash Brothers and not using his character as Pokemon, but anyway, he goes on to say that the first installment of the Super Smash Brothers series was a great multiplayer game for the Nintendo 64. But in retrospect, it has been outdone by all of its successors. It is still playable, but due to limited characters, stages, and modes, it gets boring very quickly, even on multiplayer. Super Smash Bros. Games are never played for the single player experience, but this one in particular is weak. Good at the time, still relatively enjoyable, but hasn't aged too well compared to other N64 titles.
So that's my question. That's a really fascinating thing to me. Compared to other N64 titles, do we feel that this has not aged well?
Carlo, I feel you have more
Uh,
experience with the game, so you might have
Same.
more of an opinion on this. But I personally think that of the N64 games, I think that's the original Smash Bros is still pretty easy to get into, and it's pretty well designed for its time. I mean, there's some things where like characters don't have what is it, forward specials, and
Mhm.
there's a lot of hit stun that makes it so that you can't get out of combos, and like there's things that make that even worse. But I honestly think that the original Smash Bros is still pretty solid.
Yep. Yep.
I
Mhm.
I do think that with maybe the exception of Brawl, the rest of them have outdone it though.
Man, everyone hating on Brawl over here. I can't tell you anything about Brawl. You can hate on it all you want. That was not a big game for me either, so I will
Brawl
tell you.
was interesting, man. It was like I don't even know. It was interesting to me. Brawl was like it felt like Melee tried something different, and then when I played Smash 4, I was like, wow, this is what they just should have went with instead. But and then like I think what's really interesting is like Ultimate, in my opinion, is like a mix between like Melee and 4. I don't know
Mhm.
why I think that, but it feels that way.
Well, that's because since Brawl, they've been migrating back towards how Melee plays a little bit each time.
Hmm. Just to make people happy, I guess. But it's been like roughly okay. Um,
Well, didn't they take the Smash series away from HAL after Brawl? Because didn't it with 4 and especially with Ultimate, HAL had nothing to do with Ultimate, so
So with 4 and Ultimate, you're correct. HAL did not develop those because
right.
Sora Ltd was created by Sakurai after he left HAL,
Yep.
and Nintendo contracted him because Sora Ltd is just Sakurai and his wife.
Right, right.
Um,
Yeah. He got tired of making the Kirby sequels is what it was, and so he left HAL. He left HAL.
he stopped making the Kirby games before he started Brawl, I think, because I think the last one he directed was Kirby Air Ride in 2002.
Hmm.
I think I might be wrong on that year, but it was around then. Um, but yeah, in 4 and Ultimate, it was a mix of obviously Sakurai as the lead, um, some Nintendo employees as well as Namco employees.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, I think that'll about do it for Smash. Anyone have anything that they want to add that maybe I forgot to talk about, or questions, or anything like that? Anyone got an extra?
no, I'm okay. I'm okay for the moment.
Not going to plug your esports team.
Hold
No,
on,
no,
we
no.
have a point for that.
I'll give him a chance to plug everything. Y'all have a chance to plug everything.
Yeah, see,
All
there
right,
you
we'll
go.
get there.
Just
Um,
it's just I just like to take a moment and see if I can learn anything new about the games that we talk about. That's part of the fun of this for me, is getting to see things from different perspectives. So,
Hmm.
well, each week we kind of have a gaming question of the week, I call it, and we'll go round table on this. This week is really basic. What video game got you hooked onto the gaming lifestyle? And I'll be honest, I'll start with this. It's a tough question because, like, my knee jerk reaction is to go, well, it's the first video game, but I don't think it is the first video game because that's just your introduction, you know?
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Somewhere down the line, there was a game that you just got addicted to, I guess, and consumed your time and whatchamacallit. And yeah, I think for me, the one I remember, like, breathing, being so excited for, and wanting to play every waking second was Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
It was It was so
Yeah.
awesome. It was awesome. I mean, I remember the first time that I figured out that they had alternate exits, and then the map opens up in a different direction, and it was like
Mhm.
mind blown type
Yep.
deal.
Yep.
I loved it. I loved it to death. So, all right, what y'all got?
I've got actually it's it's The Legend of Zelda, but not the Ocarina of Time. I think the one that I actually really enjoyed was The Link to the Past.
Well, Link to the Past is awesome.
My cousin got me he ended up getting me like a Nintendo and then Super Nintendo. And so like it was like the weirdest gift that you could probably give like a child, but it was really cool. What was really awesome about it is that I started playing like, oh, here's Super Mario. Oh, here's like that track running thing that you actually had like gamepad for the Nintendo. And so like I grew up in the age where like literally I just had both of these consoles and I could just switch back because like he didn't have enough games for all of them by
No.
themselves. So he's like, here's like 3 games for this one, here's 4 games for the other one. I was like, okay. I played Link to the Past for the first time and I was like confused at what the fuck I was supposed to do. So I was like, I don't know. I was like 6 or 7. And then my cousin came over one day and he was just like, yeah, you're supposed to do this. And then he showed me how to play the game. And immediately I was like, everything makes sense. Like it wasn't like the story he told me about. He was just like, yeah, you just gotta like he told me, he was like, read. And then two, I was like, yeah, this is how you were supposed to like do the game. And I was like, oh my God. And I was able to get like saved some of the princesses. Like, you know how like the story goes, where you have to like go into like the dark realm after you find that the original shit from the light world, and then you go in the dark world and you got to kill Ganon, or not Ganon, that one wizard
Again.
asshole. Yeah, a Ganon, that
Hey,
guy.
Ganon. Hey, Ganon.
But yeah, and so it was fun and like it was super confusing, like because that is not a game for children. I swear to God, but it
No.
was super fun to like now that I like when I had played it, I was like, "Wow, this is really great." I went back to it again when they had like a re-release on like the Game Boy Advance SP. Played it again. I was like, "Man, I remember when I was a stupid kid." And I was just like getting all this like immediately. So it was super fun, and The Legend of Zelda will always have like this really nice like spot in my childhood because I did remember spending 2 to 3 days trying to beat Twilight Princess on the GameCube. Because I had only borrowed it for the weekend. I was like, I need to beat this game. So that was the thing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with that at all. I really like A Link to the Past. Super Nintendo in general is very that was my those are my formative gaming years. Most of my most fond childhood gaming memories are Super Nintendo. All right,
Hmm.
who's up?
I'll go
Keeper.
next because mine's related to what Carlo was talking about because so my mom used to play games a lot. So gaming's kind of been in the family before I could remember anything. And she had the Super Nintendo. That was her console. And every week she would rent a game for the weekend and she'd play through it with me and my brother sitting there. But um the one game that I played a lot from the Super Nintendo was also Link to the Past.
Hmm.
Um, I like I said, I was too young to really remember much of this because I was like
We were dumb.
two when it came out. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think I might have actually been younger than that. But my mom always told me that I taught myself to read playing that game because my older brothers would get too annoyed reading what was on the screen for me. So I
Yeah.
got frustrated and just learned it. But at the same time, I'm not necessarily convinced that that one is the title that kept me as a gamer throughout my life. That one would probably have to go to Ocarina of Time. Because one of my earliest gaming memories was my mom setting up the 64 in the back of my grandparents' house and plugging that game in. And I played it for the first time. And I got absolutely hooked on that game to the point where I played it enough that I would complete the game, delete the save file, start it over. And I probably have 500 hours in that game alone.
Wow.
So I know that game like the back of my hand. I know where absolutely everything is. It's gotten to the point where I play through that game with as many restrictions as I possibly can to even make it remotely a challenge. Like no heart upgrades, no magic upgrades, no shield. I break my Biggoron sword as soon as possible, so I have like no range. Just challenges like that.
Bigger,
Um,
yeah, that freaking knife sucks.
Yeah, fun fact: the broken knife has the same damage value as the Kakiri sword, and it's shorter.
Yeah, I remember that, and I was like, "Why? This doesn't make any sense. This game is dumb." And I used it anyway. Like, it's so silly.
Yep.
You
But
ever gonna stream your run? You should totally do it. It's just a side note.
so that
You should do
was
it.
I put that off while I was trying to figure out what was going on with my computer. I figured it out at this point, and I just haven't gotten back into it.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
It was a problem with my RAM sticks. But back on topic, I wouldn't even consider Ocarina of Time my favorite Zelda game, though, even though it's by far my most played. I would have to give that title to Majora's Mask, honestly.
A
That would
Majora's
make
Mask
sense.
Fan. What's that?
I said we got a Majora's Mask fan, huh?
It is
It's
it
a
is a
great
very
game.
dark game.
I
Loved
think
it.
I think Majora's Mask. I find it to be very polarizing for some weird reason.
Mhm.
Like I meet people that I meet a lot more people that love it. I'll be honest with you. I mean, it's find a lot of people who love it, but then occasionally you just run into those people who despise it, which is so bizarre to me,
That's so weird.
I
isn't
think a
it?
lot of that has to do with the time mechanic in the game, because
Yeah.
there's certain events
Yeah.
where you're just kind of standing there for like 5 minutes waiting for something to happen because you don't have anything
Yeah.
else to do.
True.
I do agree with that. I think that that's a lot of it. So
And that was addressed in the 3DS port, but the 3DS port I do not think is as good as the original.
I
Um,
think the one time it was better than the original was when they did the Ocarina of Time change. I was like, okay.
Okay,
that's cool.
Ocarina of Time on the 3DS is just a straight upgrade. There's
Yeah.
absolutely nothing wrong with it. The thing about Majora's Mask remake is that they made a bunch of changes to the game that streamline it in ways for the worse. For example, they made it so that the bosses, rather than all being like unique, you have to fight them, or not necessarily have to fight them in a specific way. But they made it so that you expose their gigantic eyeball weak point, and you have to hit that 3 times, and that's how you beat the boss. Whereas in the original, there were not necessarily only one way to beat the boss. Like Odolwa, the first boss in the game. If you want, you can try and just fight him with your sword. Alternatively, you can stun him with the Deku seeds when you're in a Deku form, or you can like pop up underneath him to stun him. But they changed it so it's like you have to do it this way.
fascinating. I haven't played the ports. I missed a lot of handheld gaming.
I have played both ports, but I never played Majora's Mask on the original, so I can't compare. But I will say the Ocarina of Time is better. And
All right.
yes, Keefer, I still have it. I know where it is. I'm
Absolutely.
still playing through it, so I'll get it back to
I
you when
was
I'm done.
wondering if you still had that. I was like, did Rob ever give that back?
That is the
I don't
real
know.
secret as to why he's here doing this. He was here to actually see if you still had that game. That was his one
we
true
actually
goal.
talked about Ocarina of Time in a previous episode, and I'm pretty sure I did say thank you for letting me keep that all this time because I still have it, and I literally was playing it when we was preparing for that episode,
Yeah.
and I was playing through it. I think I'm at like Ice Temple or Water Temple, maybe. I don't fucking.
Okay.
I was somewhere in the leafy area with water.
Mm.
Okay,
All right,
yeah.
Rob. What about you, Rob? What got you hooked on the lifestyle?
For the like binge gaming, it's between 2 games. It's either Pokemon Yellow or Halo 3. Because
Ooh.
I spent
Ooh.
so much time as a kid playing Pokemon Yellow on my Game Boy Color. It was the Pikachu edition one. I still have it.
I'm jealous of you.
Oh my god, I loved the thing. I played the hell out of that game. I mean, I know for a fact in most of my Pokemon games I have like 150 hours plus. I promise you that I have 300 hours into that game.
That doesn't
But
surprise me. I have 350 hours in Sapphire, and that was my first
Yeah.
Pokemon game that I personally owned.
And then Halo 3, there were nights. I mean, Damon lived with us for a while, and there were nights where we just wouldn't sleep. We'd play through the campaign, and we would do the all skulls challenge, or we'd just play multiplayer all throughout the night.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh yeah.
that's legit though. Like that's dedication.
We still suck. Well, we both still sucked at the game. But yeah.
I think I pulled one all-nighter with Halo 3, and it was when my brother had a couple of his friends over, and we just did multiplayer until like 10 a.m. or
LAN
something.
parties. That was like Halo was
Oh.
that one thing that I would do LAN parties with people because
Mhm.
like I remember like I was notorious in high school for like doing this once a month, and I would have like we'd have like two TVs. Unfortunately, they'd be facing each other, not like next to each other in a way. Would be
Mhm.
really cool because like we actually had like the Ethernet cables connected to a router, and they were just stretching like around like every which way, and there's like two Xboxes going. And I remember everybody would just get pissed at me because I'm like, yeah, I'm really good at sniping, and they hated it. And so like there was a point where I even killed them without scoping. And I remember a couple of those, and they would literally just say, Carlo, if we want to come back, we want to make sure you don't have the fucking sniper rifle set up in the game. And so they would do anything else but sniping. It's like my favorite.
Oh, you guys.
What about you, Dave?
I already talked already. Remember?
Oh yeah. Stop.
But that's
Get
okay.
into these conversations.
I know. Well, you're used to having to ask me after the fact because I asked all the questions, so I appreciate you including me. But while we were talking, and you said LAN party, you just reminded me of one thing because I really only have, when it comes to competitive gaming, I have one claim to fame, or I was in my heyday once in my entire life. So,
Oh,
yeah, for real. All right, it's gonna watch. I hit you with it. Early in the PC gaming era, I was an Age of Empires addict.
Oh,
Okay.
yo, okay.
I mean, just Age of Empire, absolute Age of Empires addict. And I played it online with, what was it at the time? The Microsoft Gaming Network or something like that, was it?
Mhm.
And my best friend Jeremy, I've talked about Jeremy in the past. My best friend Jeremy and I used to play together all the time. And when we started playing, there's two styles to the game, different maps, and you had land-based and you had water-based. The land-based were the plains, and the water-based were the islands. Well, we really liked the naval battles, so we always played islands. In fact, our screen names on there, our clan was the Island Clan, and we all had names. So, like, he was Island Czar, I was Island God. It might be vice versa. We all had names like that. And so we would play islands all the time, and we were really good at islands. And so they used to do ladders on that, like ratings and everything. And the
Mhm.
meta at the time was the plains, right? So all the top players were in the plains. They were doing land-based battles, and everything was good. But then the wind started to change, and people started playing the island side. Well, we had only been playing islands, and so we were stupid good at it. And so what happened is, for about 3, 4, maybe 5 days, we were whooping ass on this. And for about 24 hours, we managed to be like the number 2 and 3, might have been 1 and 2. We were almost at the top of the ladder of the Age of Empires ladder rankings on the Microsoft Gaming Network, because the meta changed in our favor for as long as it took everyone else to figure out our strategy, basically.
That's impressive.
And that
Yeah,
Wow.
like wow. Age of
And-
Empires 2 is not even not even easy at all. Like holy shit.
you don't even know, but back then it was so different because we were all on dial-up. I mean, you literally make it, dude. It's the worst. I can't even wrap my head around why we tolerated it. Like you would click to do something. I mean, and you would just wait. You would literally just have to wait. It would take so long for everything to catch up with itself. There was nothing smooth, nothing reflexive, nothing everything. The whole key to it was just making the right moves in the right order as quick as you can, type deal. But it wasn't quick. It wasn't like, I mean, the next big game for us was StarCraft, and StarCraft is
Oh
a
God,
whole,
yes.
yeah, a whole
Yes.
different beast, right?
Mhm.
But by then everything had caught up with us, and so like that's when you start to get into, your what is it, APM? Is that what it is? Actions per
Yeah,
minute.
actions per
Yep.
minute. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, for like 24 hours, we were rocking at the top of the Age of Empires island, well, the whole meta ladder, and then we got our butts kicked and never mounted to anything ever again. So,
Hey, it's pretty impressive to say that you helped shape the meta.
Yeah.
no, that's true. That's honestly very true. Thank you. I've never thought of it that way. Uh, it was kind of funny. Yeah, that's neat. But yeah, that's it. I've never done anything else in competitive gaming in my life. Oh man.
Alrighty. Well,
Uh,
Dave, I think this brings us back to something that I said earlier. We had
mm.
mentioned Mario Party, and I set a date, and you asked, "How did you know that date? Are you looking at it?" And I said, "Well, I'll get to that later."
Oh
Well, it's
boy.
later, and I'm going to tell you, I found that over our website. So,
Huh.
Dave, why don't you tell them about our website?
Damn, that was a good plug. You really saved that up from the middle of the episode?
Damn straight I did.
Oh my god. I'm impressed with
Genius.
you. I'm impressed with you right now. I did not see that coming.
That's
All
what she
right.
said.
Well, oh geez Louise. So, memorycardlane.com, our website. I update it every week with notes. You can find all my research notes, any websites, anything I use to write my notes for the episode on there. There's a calendar of upcoming episodes. If you would like to comment or give your own review, your criticism, if you'd like to give us a gaming question of the week, the calendar is on there so you can always see what we're going to talk about and participate. There is my biography, not Rob's. We've already covered that today. We're just waiting how many more weeks, Rob? Uh
Uh,
18?
17.
something like
17?
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, there you
yeah.
go.
Yeah. So we're almost to Rob's biography. So just wait. We're all waiting on bated breath. Um yeah, so you could submit your own stories, your own comments, your own criticism. You can join our Discard. Yes, that's what I feel like it is some days. you
Keeper,
can join
you.
you can join our Discord community. You can also find links to our Patreon on there. For only $2 a month, you can support our fledgling little podcast. Feel free. You can either get there through the link on our website at www.memorycardlane.com or patreon.com/tripdownmemorycardlane. Frankly, I find the first easier. That's why I like to plug it. And yeah, you can also find links to our social media. I'm really simple. I'm only on Twitter because I'm old and I suck. But you can find me there at David_is_wrong, where I wish video games happy birthdays and sometimes gripe about Rocket League. Rob, what are you doing on social media these days?
Well, one of these days I plan on getting back on twitch.tv/FATBOIRIPZ. Carlo, what about
Yeah.
you?
Oh, well, I guess one of these days I'll get back to it, but I will be doing more esports stuff, so I'm always recruiting for players for for Albion College. It's located in Albion, Michigan, and always looking for Smash, Rocket League, Overwatch, League of Legends. I'm looking for a lot. Apex Legends, Fortnite, Dragon Ball Fighters, and any of the sports games like Madden, 2K, NFL. Oh, sorry, NFL. NBA, 2K. What's it called? FIFA. There you go. That one. So yeah, just kind of those things that I
Don't
always
forget Hello
try to.
Kitty Adventure.
Oh yeah, and that and no,
And Barbie Horse Adventure.
Barbie Horse Adventures.
God,
Uh,
I kind of
uh,
wonder if that game still exists. But yeah, no, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having, for just listening, and yeah, just check out Albion Esports and Albion College on Twitter. Oh God, I'm so tired. What? How about you, Keefer?
So
I'm like
well,
going out.
I can tell.
we're rounding the
Um,
bend. We're rounding the bend.
So you can find me on Twitter at LyonLyre, LYON LYRE. And you can also find me on Twitch. I'll eventually get back to streaming with the same tag, LyonLyre.
Awesome. Well, I think that'll about do it for today. I want to start by saying thank you, gentlemen. I genuinely really have enjoyed this discussion with you. It's always great to talk to people who love games and know them and have a lot to say about them. And I had a lot of fun. So thank you very, very much
For
for
sure, I had a lot
joining
of
Oh
fun
us.
yeah,
too.
no, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
this has been great. This is the time. That's my thanks. Rob, what do you got?
Well, I want to also say thank you to Keefer and Karlo for joining us. It's been wonderful. Always love hanging out with you guys, as you know.
Hmm.
And
Of course.
as always, I want to thank all of you as our listeners. I say it every week. We're going to be doing this whether you're listening or not, but it's a hell of a lot more fun when you can be included in the conversation.
Very true. Gentlemen, either one of you have anything you want to add before I take it out of here? Last,
I'm good.
last
Yeah, I
chance.
Thank you
think
very
I'm good.
much.
Thanks for having us.
Hmm.
Awesome. All right. Well, next week, guys. Next week we're going to be looking at Red Dead Revolver. The Red Dead Redemption series is one of the biggest commercial successes in modern gaming history. But what I'm guessing a lot of people don't know is that Red Dead Redemption is actually the second game in the Red Dead series. Released for the PS2 and Xbox in 2004, Red Dead Revolver follows bounty hunter Red Harlow's quest for revenge after the murder of his parents. Now, you may
Oh.
be asking yourself, other than the name Red Dead, what does Red Dead Revolver have in common with its much better known sequels in the Red Dead Redemption series? And are they even set in the same place? Well, stave that curiosity, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to be answering this question and more next week as we take our own wild, wild west trip down memory card lane. Do the thing.
Do do wah do do wah do wah do wah.